So then what were some of the challenges you encountered then? Because you talk about respect and how that's very important, being able to connect with your staff. What was the challenges in terms of dealing with people in your completely new culture, a way of doing business? That must have been very different in terms of certain practices and acts by other people, other businesses, in terms of how they interact with each other.
Well, there were a lot of different challenges, and in the various companies I worked, they were different every time. If I take one in particular, when I took over the company in China, it was quite clear that there were improper ways of doing business, or practices in place which were not conducive for any international company to work with.
Like what?
In terms of incentives provided by certain subcontractors to current staff.
So like bribery in a sense, or
bribery, commissions, these type of things. So of course, at some point you need to make a cut, in the sense that you have to make your staff aware, look, I know that there are improper practices in place, so either you stop it, or the company will have to take steps to ensure that these practices are no longer in place. So
how did you find out? Were you approached yourself with bribery? And
I would have had the option as well to get money for business, which I have never taken in my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, to come back to that situation, I made the various people aware that I knew. I told them, to put it simply, stop. I don't care what happened in the past, but now I'm here. Mm-hmm. These practices will not be tolerated. So either you follow or you will be out. Then it happened that some they continued. So then, as a business leader, of course, your first priority is that the company needs to continue to run properly, but at the same time, you need to take corrective measures. So you need to find a way, or you need to strategize to do the changes you want to do without any major negative impacts towards your business, right? So there you had to show strong hand, you had to show willingness to take tough decisions.
And how did you find out that they were still on the dole, as people say, still taking bribes?
Well, there are different ways, and usually they say speaking is silver, listening is gold. So when suddenly you hear, look, I have 2-3 apartments, and you know that at that time the salary was quite low, how can you afford that? Or if you show up in the office every second month with a new mobile phone, or with
so it's the small details that
and then of course you need to know your business. You need to know what is feasible, what is not feasible. So then you can make your own picture.
Was this widespread? Was this a normal thing throughout China at this time? And do you think it's still happening?
Well, this is not a singular country, only because I lived in China. Of course, I have a bit of an insight there, but these practices are everywhere, irrespective of developing countries or developed countries. Only in developing countries, you have to put this into context that maybe 20 years ago, a certain person was controlling a very significant amount of business and earning $300. So to boost up the income by having such a big responsibility, if he or she can get an additional $10 per container, this makes a nice little additional pocket money for their family. So what I'm trying to say is wherever there is a country developing very fast and there are very big discrepancies in terms of income, and wherever there is a person or departments who control a large chunk of business and have a big responsibility, but their salaries are not aligned with that, there is a risk of getting into malpractices.
I see.